If you want to start a creative business, I want to show you exactly how you can go from idea to launch in just 7 days as a complete beginner. This is the no bullshit, no fluff, embodied approach to showing up and giving your creative gifts in the world and making a business out of it. So if that tickles your fancy, I invite you to stay to the end because there's going to be a really clear, juicy framework for you to follow. So if you're new here, my name is Kev. I'm an award-winning furniture designer, and right now I really just love teaching ambitious creatives emotional intelligence because that's the glue that holds success together. So I think the very first problem that people don't actually ever address is asking themselves the question of what the fuck do you actually want, right? I think we move through life all too often not really knowing what we desire, and that's a problem, right? We don't have clarity and direction. So the first step, if you crave to start a business, before you think about the business, really get clear on what the fuck you actually want in life. And it doesn't have to be deep, it doesn't have to be superficial, it can be whatever the heck it is, right? But just get clear on what you want in this season. And if you're wanting to start a business, you have to think in the next 5 to 10 years. This isn't a 3-month thing. I mean, you can experiment quickly, but devotion is a long game, and giving your gifts to the world is a long game. So if you're not prepared to do that, then maybe it's not for you, right? So what the fuck do you actually want? Getting clear on what your answer is to that question, and of course it will evolve, but allowing yourself to practice owning that truth. So practice I love to encourage everyone to do, whether this be with you practice with someone you love, or it's yourself in the mirror. Own the truth of your desire. Say exactly what you want. You know, I want to create thoughtful design for my community, and I want to be resourced and make enough money to travel and do whatever the fuck I want to do. Whatever that is, right? You know, practice saying that and see how embodied and secure you feel. Chances are, it's going to be edgy, there's going to be some insecurity, there's going to be some fear, and that's good. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is just to get real about where you are. To know where your fears are, to know where your insecurity is, to know where your edge is and what you actually desire. Now you're aware of it, so you can actually focus on creating it, right? If you're not aware of it, how are you going to create it, right? There's no direction there. So I would actually say that's step 0. What the fuck do you actually want? And to get there, even though there is a pretty slippery slope, the vessel that I think is such an amazing application of one's personal story is creative business. So we can really think about creative business as, what is the problem that you're solving? You know, start incredibly simple. I think that there's 2 main approaches to start to look at this, and I'll use my own personal story so that I can make a little bit more sense. You can look to voids that you see in community and in the world around you, and then you can look to your values, what you have transformed inside yourself, what has become a core value of yours. So I'll go first. A huge void that I saw in the area that I live was so much shitty design. So many things that need to be there that are not thoughtful at all. You know, everything from handrails to gates to doors to furniture to handles and all of these things that can just be so much better than what they are and could bring delight. So I saw a void, and that was the first iteration of my business, doing custom design in metal fabrication. Flash forward, as I've learned more about myself as a human and as a creative, I realized how important being connected to my body, being emotionally intelligent, being, you know, a regulated nervous system for the world. I realized just how impactful and important that was, and really it's the core from which I do things. So as I've really transformed that in myself, that's now become an offering in a second online business where I really teach emotional intelligence and how to get into your creative body and create from that place. That's a personal transformation of mine. So you can look to the voids you see in the world and what you've helped yourself transform. You know, a great way you can sort of frame that, even just for yourself, the world doesn't have to see this, but just look about, like, use the framework of I went from blank to blank, you know, like I went from living my life numb from the neck down to feeling very connected to my body, emotions, and able to communicate clearly my needs, wants, desires, etc. You know, you can talk about that. That helps you frame how you've seen yourself transform. So those are two places that you can look to solve problems. So it doesn't matter if you're someone who has healed their leaky gut and you want to help other people get keen on their diet and how to, you know, experiment with fixing that. It doesn't matter if you are, excuse me. It doesn't matter if you are a music producer who has learned how to mix and master yourself, so you want to help other people do that. And it doesn't matter if you want to serve smash burgers to your local community because there's no smash burger place. Whatever it is, get clear on the void that you see or the value you want to see more of in the world. You know, that's step one. Look to those problems that you solved yourself and that you want to tackle solving. And essentially, the transaction of money is an exchange of values. So you're basically, the problem that you solve is rewarded by the people who share the same value system as you. People who like burgers and enjoy the gastronomy of it all are trading that value of pleasure and delight for your service via money. So you can think about business purely as, what is the problem that I'm solving for the world and how am I rewarded? That's sort of step one. And the second step is, how do you get people to knock on your door? Or how do you knock on other people's doors? I am a firm believer in showing up in your local community. That's where you're going to cultivate the most readily available trust, right? People that see you, people that know you, people you talk to. Go to your coffee shop, wherever the heck you show up, and have conversations. Hey, I've been thinking about starting this business where I want to hand paint signs for all these local shops and restaurants. I feel like, you know, this downtown area could look so much more beautiful with some hand painted signs. And I just wanted to let you know this is something I would like to do. You know, here's a flyer, here's a card, whatever it is. Just start a conversation. It's going to be choppy. It's going to be awkward. The goal isn't to get someone to give you money. The premise when you're first starting your creative business is to experiment with how it feels for you to show up. To show up with more leadership, integrity, and with a problem that you can solve. And finding those people that have that problem that are willing to invest in you to help them solve it. So show up at your local coffee shop. Literally do the classic cliche things. Print out, 100 business cards, give them out. Like, if you actually care and are devoted to this, print out 100 business cards that clearly say what it is that you offer, the problem that you solve. You can do that, transformation statement. It's like, I help people with leaky gut go from feeling confused, not know what to do about their health, to feeling empowered and in control of their gut, their immune system, whatever it is. I don't know about leaky gut, but I don't know why that's what's on my mind today. Or if it's something like, I create high quality metalworks for design forward humans, beautiful. Hand that out to 100 people. And I guarantee you someone's gonna call you, right? It doesn't mean that that's gonna lead to a project. But if you show up, if you put skin in the game and you show up and you say, this is the problem that I solved, this is my skill, and have a conversation around it, that's putting energy out there into the world, reflecting your desire. Now, it might take a little bit for that to ripple back to you, but it's going out into the world. So that's how you start, right? So you can do that approach, and then you can also show up on platforms like Nextdoor and like Facebook groups where people like in your community are hanging out. Again, I don't discourage you all to start online, but I do think that starting in the community is just such a more honest start. it's so much more trustworthy, it's so much more personable, right? So you can post there, you can tell some stories, and you can share photographs of your work or, before and afters of what you've done. And your goal is just to get people interested. So you don't need to have a website, you don't need to have an LLC, you don't need to have anything. Just have a way that people can contact you. If that's a phone number, that's a phone number. If it's an email address, it's an email address. If it's a portfolio website that has a clear way of contacting you at the front, it's a portfolio website, right? So on your business card, obviously you can have your contact. On a post on Nextdoor, Facebook, you would just have a slight call to action. For the first 10 people who are interested in a free consultation for landscape design, or for the first 10 people who are interested in a consultation for landscape design, I'll offer my services for free, or I'll offer the first consult for free. Or how I did this when I did surfboards was like, hey, for the first 5 people that want surfboards, I'll do it free practice. You pay for the materials and I'll do all of the labor. And what that does is it starts conversations, it gets the phone to ring, and it gets you perhaps in the rhythm of working, feeling what it's like to offer yourself, to interact with clients, to do the work so that you can sort of build your confidence, build the sort of kinks, or kind of work out some of those first kinks, because your first rodeo is going to be where you'll feel 50% of the kinks, right? And so if you can say, get 10 people to signal interest by, liking a post, and maybe one person calls you or 2 people call you, great, you're on the right track. How devoted can you be to keep showing up, and how clear can you communicate and follow through? So that's how you get your sort of first calls, and you can do this all in a week. You can go from an idea to I'm going to offer this out to the world, and if you actually are devoted to it and do it and show up and make some mistakes, the phone will ring, you'll get an email. Now, learning how to communicate with the clients and to clearly express the problem that you solve and the value of that is a whole different story. I'll make another video some other time on how to really price confidently, how to embody your self-value, so it's very inherent and clear, the value of what you offer to the world. But literally, that's as simple as it gets. You just have to know what the fuck you want in life, which is hard, and you have to look to the problems that you've solved either in your life or in the world around you, or the problems you would like to solve, and then create a very clear channel where people can understand clearly. I struggled with the clearly part for so long, where people can understand clearly what it is that you do, how to get in contact with you. And for your first few clients, whatever that is, if you're a service work, if you're hand painting signs, if you're giving landscape design consultations, or if you're like helping people out with their leaky gut, do offer the first 5 consultations for free. Because it's like, do you really need the money, right? It's like the experience is so much better. Getting 5 conversations started is so much better than being stubborn about, no, I needed to have this paid, and it's like, dude, you haven't even done it yet, right? So I'm all about the free practice and the free consult. And that's how you get the momentum started. Keeping the momentum is a practice in itself. But if you want to bootstrap an idea and see if anyone is keen on it in just 7 days, that is your start, right? And if nobody is keen on it, it's not that you're wrong, it's just that either you aren't clear enough, you haven't talked to enough people, or you can tweak and alter your messaging. And chances are it has something to do with you not being clear enough about what you offer and stripping out all the noise, right? It's so easy to, let's say, make a flyer and fill up the whole goddamn flyer with information, Simple is better. I hand paint signs for local businesses to boost their street presence. There you go, something like that. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is how you start. But the real glue that holds this all together to be sustainable and to be successful is what I call your creative embodiment, the way that you are connected to yourself, your body, your desires, your nervous system, and how to become really emotionally intelligent and present so that you basically have the capacity to keep going, right? So I have a training on that called the Embodied Creative Toolkit. The link's in the description below. You will absolutely love that if this is something that piques your interest, that you want to start a creative business. So I appreciate y'all for being here. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Please subscribe if you haven't, and yeehaw. Ciao.